Chair.
Yes.
That's correct, Chair. But there's Ms. Mutahung, Chair, and Mr. Macpherson, Chair, who would like to raise.
Mutahung.
Thanks, Chair, for the opportunity. I stand to support what Honorable Hermans and Honorable Yagu they have just alluded to. If we are a committee that we are going to rely on the allegations, it means we are not going to work because we have allegations almost every day. I support the name of Dr. Mazivandila, but if we are continuing not agreeing in this committee, I think I support what Honorable Mbuyani have just said. Let's divide the house. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so let's check because
Chair?
No, I heard that you say Macpherson is raising a hand. I wanted just to check with members that all the members have a chance to actually raise. Is there any member that hasn't actually commented yet? And then we end up with Macpherson, because at least I gave him a chance earlier, then I'll go back to him. Is there any other member present in the meeting, Secretariat, which haven't spoken on this issue?
Chair, Mr. Mulder, who hasn't spoken on the issue. I do not know if you wish to express a view on the matter, Chair.
Let's have Honorable Mulder.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I must say I'm rather disappointed in the way that we are handling this matter at the moment. But I stick to what the Freedom Front has decided on, and further if necessary. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Let's actually then get.
Watts also didn't express a view.
Oh,
Chair,
okay.
like to.
Sorry for that. Honorable Watts.
And Mr. Burns-Ncamashe, Chair.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. I support the name of Dr. M. Mazivandela, and also I support the proposal of dividing the house.
Okay, let's take Ncamashe, Burns-Ncamashe, just to check, and then we go back to Macpherson. Burns-Ncamashe.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, for the opportunity, and honorable members. Maybe, Chair, let me come back. I'm trying to organize my thought processes in the circumstances under which I found myself. However, I have to soldier on. Chair, I think from my own observation, we can safely say the outcome of the interviews which led to the 4 candidates was a quantitative expression, which is but one variable in a mix of a totality of variables when you are to make a consideration. Now, it's critically important when you deal with issues of this nature to use clear tools of analysis. And the tools of analysis, Chair, can be a variety of tools. Let me just limit to at least 2 approaches. They can either be dichotomous, where it's either your word or my word, or they can be dialectical, where the essence of interpenetration of opposition is at play. Conversion of the quantity into quality. And if you are to convert the quantitative expression of those numbers into a qualitative no doubt in our mind that Dr. What's his name?
Madzivandela.
Does have or does meet the variables as they would talk to the qualitative aspects in a totality, of analysis. And therefore, Chair, I think through a well-thought process, I really want to appeal at this stage to members of the committee to really give Dr. Tuli or Tulu, how did we call him? Tulu, the opportunity to chair this important institution and provide him with the necessary support and necessary tools so as to ensure that the people of South Africa are serviced in a manner that will make a significant change in their lives. That would be my take, Chair. Thank you very much.
Let's go back. Macpherson.
All right.
Chair, Mr. Cuthbert and Mr. Tring.
I need to try and undo that word salad because, I mean, it was just words strung together because none of that actually made any sense. But these are the points. You cannot expect this committee, as Mr. Mbuyani would have us believe, just to simply vote up and down on the matter and not consider any issues. That is why we have ended up with people like Brian Molefe, Dudu Myeni, the public protector, and many more, because we don't want to hear any issues that may be raised. And if we didn't want to hear any issues or any problems that people may have, why did we ask for members of the public to submit those comments? So we asked them to submit comments, and then we say, actually, we don't want to discuss it. We don't want to hear about it. Just say, you know what? We're coming here with a predetermined list, with a predetermined name. We have been lobbied by people in the NLC, and this is the name, and actually bugger all of you. We don't want to hear any comments from the public. We don't care what the opposition, just be honest in your dishonesty, because then it can actually save everyone a whole lot of time. And then we don't have to talk about quantitative and qualitative word salads as we've just been subjected to. But it is wrong, it is absolutely wrong to believe that this committee cannot deliberate on any of the public submissions that have been made by any against any individuals. And the fact of the matter is this, that the doctor has sat on the board, overseen and been a part of the total collapse of the NLC, mired in corruption, mired in other board members getting millions of rands to gloss up their own home, mired in corruption of the CEO, brothers, sisters, girlfriends, and everybody else getting money at the expense of the poorest of the poor who need this money. And then we mustn't discuss that because those are just allegations. Well, let me remind you, colleagues, It was all of these allegations that the DA raised about the public protector, which have now come to be true. And at the time, it was the ANC and the EFF that said, no, we are going ahead with this. We must give them chances. Don't worry, it's all under control. And now, well, at least one half of that relationship is now wanting to get rid of her. And even in that one half, there's another half that don't want to get rid of her. And we cannot continue to subject the public to people with massive question marks over their heads. It's not fair. It is not correct. It is a complete abrogation of our responsibilities. And let me remind all of you about what the Deputy Chief Justice, Justice Zondo, has said in the Zondo Commission, which is investigating state capture, that MPs and Parliament continuously have not done their job in holding those seeking high office and seeking power accountable. And guess what? We are going down the same road, and yet the same people who continuously agree to this will then throw their hands up and say, how did we get here? How is this possible? How have we allowed R1 trillion to be looted from our country? And the poorest of the poor, the masses, the very masses that Mr. Mboyani claims to represent, he will then go back to them and say, we had nothing to do with it. I'm sorry that your money is being stolen and we can't provide anything through you. That is dishonesty. That is being disingenuous. And if this committee and if the majority of this committee are quite happy for this process just to continue as is and not discuss any of the very important allegations that have been raised, well, then I promise you, all of you are going to have a very strong case to answer in the future. And I will remind every one of you, when we all have to sit here and consider how we're going to remove people and why corruption continues, because you just simply said, I'm not interested in any of these allegations, let's give them a chance. At whose cost do we keep giving chances to? It's the poorest of the poor and the masses that some amongst us in this committee claim to represent. Thank
you. Let me take Honorable, is it Cuthbert, then Thring?
That's correct, Chair. Cuthbert and followed by Mr. Thring, Chair.
Okay, Cuthbert, Honorable Cuthbert, and then Honorable Thring, in that order.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chairperson, the other element that I want to raise is, what is the point of having public participation if we don't take the submissions seriously? There was no space to discuss it during the interviews because we were sticking to the rubric as discussed and we were going through the interview process. But surely there needs to be time where we consider the public submissions, because otherwise, you know, people claim this to be a people's parliament, but then they don't take the considered views of their constituents. So people have put through submissions. We must consider the submissions. We must take them into account. I certainly do not want to append my name to something when I have been actively warned about somebody by a civil society organization, and I do not want to be tainted with that same brush. But it seems as if other members of the committee are quite happy to be tainted with that same brush. Now, seriously, Chairperson, if we strongly consider the submissions that were put forward, and that means all submissions that were put forward, and the existing prima facie evidence that we have, then we must make sure that we don't allow Dr. Nmatsi Bandila through, because there have been concerns cited about him, and it will be negligent of us to proceed in this manner if we allow him to continue on that list. I just don't think that it's right, Chairperson. I mean, when he came to come and interview with us, he spoke to brand damage more than he spoke to about corruption at that institution and how he would fix that and about how it affected him personally. Now, that's all fine and well. I understand people have personal feelings, but we're talking about an institution that's mired in corruption and you don't have a clear plan to get us out of this. I'm sorry, Chairperson, that just does not stand up. And I really urge committee members to rethink their position, because I don't think that they are really considering what has been put before us today.
Honorable Thring.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I think Honorable Burns-Ncamashe has certainly given us a speech on research methodology 101, dealing with variables and dichotomous situations. And obviously he has his own null hypothesis in terms of research methodology that he's come to, and he's welcome obviously to his opinion. But having said that, Chair, I think from the side of the ACDP, clearly one of the reasons why, although we did score Dr. Madzivandila quite high, but one of the reasons why the ACDP did not forward his name was particularly because of the fact that within the interview as well, besides the inputs that we had from outside role players, but within the interview, Dr. Madzivandila had an opportunity to indicate clearly what he, in terms of some difficult situations, that he had an opportunity to rectify. And there was a difficult situation there at the NLC on which he actually serves. And he did not indicate his position. And had he indicated his position, the ACDP may have decided differently. So we maintain our position, Chair, that we support the position of Dr. Dlamini as opposed to Mr. Dlamini as opposed to Dr. Madzivandila. Thank you, Chair.
Let me check if yes.
We have Mrs. Hermans followed by Mr. Mulder, Chair.
Okay, Mrs. Hermans and followed by Mr. Mulder. Honorable Hermans.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Chairperson. The ANC sticks by our 3 names that we have submitted because we don't believe that we must take a decision based on allegations. Now, just as there is, according to the DA, allegations against Dr. Madzivandila, we've also seen a report from Corruption Watch, which says there is no reason why he should not be considered. So we have decided to not go on allegations. Thank you very much, Chair.
Honorable Mulder.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to repeat what I previously said, that the Freedom Front Plus is disappointed because of the fact that I specifically asked on Wednesday how the inputs in the public participation process would be handled. And so in principle, it's not about allegations, but about the input of the public. If we don't consider the inputs of the public, then the public's part that they are fulfilling in this whole situation is actually being ignored. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Obviously, I think we may need to proceed because in terms of members of the committee, over the 3rd name, because I think the first 2 names are agreed to. The 3rd name is actually on the basis of being able to actually ask that for those who say we should proceed with Mr. Madzivandila, we'll actually have to confirm that. And those who actually say we proceed with Mr. Dlamini, Dr. Madzivandila and Mr. Dlamini. We actually can, maybe Secretariat agree that, yes.
Yes, if I may, Chair. There are the 2 final names. Members has expressed a view on each of at least one of the names, Chair. Now, if we, based on the procedure, we must put the matter for a vote, Chair. And if we put I will call out the names of members in support of Ms. Dr. Madzivandila, Chair, and then we can proceed in that way if you wish to do so, Chair.
Okay, let's actually then start with Madzivandila. Let's actually hear members who support that we proceed with the name. Then I think you can actually go through Secretariat, the names, and get confirmation. Member. Yes.
Chair, I will call the name of each member with regard to whether Dr. Madzivandila should be the 3rd candidate. Ms. Mutahung.
Honorable Mutahung.
Chair?
Yes, Honorable Mutahung.
Yes, Chair, I support the name of Dr. Mazivandila.
Okay.
Ms.
All right.
Muatse, Chair.
Muatse, Honorable Muatse.
In favor of the name of Dr. Mazivandela.
Okay.
Mr. Mbuyani, Chair.
Honorable Mbuyani.
Chairperson, I support the name. Thank you.
Mrs.
Okay.
Hermans, Chair.
Honorable Hermans.
Thank you, Chair. I support the name.
Thank you. Next.
Mr. Thring, Chair.
Honorable Thring.
Do not support, Chair. We support Mr. Dlamini.
Okay.
Ms. Yaku, Chair.
Honorable Yaku. Honorable Yaku.
Sorry, Chair. At the airport, I support the name of Dr. Mazivandila.
Thank you. Can we proceed the next one?
Mr. Macpherson, Chair.
Honorable Macpherson.
I reject.
You Dlamini.
No.
So,
Mr.
I support the
Chair, the matter before.
Yeah.
The matter before us is Dr. Mazivandila, Chair.
Oh, it's
I reject
Mazivandila. Oh, say no to Mazivandila. Okay. Next one.
Mr. Mulder, Chair.
Honorable Mulder.
Thank you, Chair. I'm against.
Okay.
Mr.
Right.
Cuthbert, Chair.
Honorable Cuthbert.
Emphatically no, Chair.
Okay.
Mr. Burns-Ncamashe, Chair.
Burns-Ncamashe.
I support the name
Okay.
Chair,
of
and
Dr.
yourself, Chair.
Mazivandila.
Okay.
Chair, yourself.
Mazivandila.
Chair, we have, based on the vote, Chair, we have 7 members supporting Dr. Mazivandila to be the third name and 4 members against, Chair. Just for the record, Chair, can we put the name of Mr. Dlamini up for consideration, Chair, and then we record that, Chair?
Yes.
Those in favor of Mr. Dlamini, Ms. Mutahum,
Honorable Daum.
Against, Chair.
Ms. Muatse,
Honorable Muatse.
Against.
Mr. Mbuyani,
Honorable Mbuyane.
Against, Chairperson.
Mrs. Hermans,
Honorable
Against.
Hermans. Against.
Mr. Thring,
Honorable Thring.
For Mr. Dlamini, thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Yaku,
Honorable Hayako. She said she's at the airport, struggling. Honorable Yaku.
Yaku.
I'm here, Chair. Sorry, what are we saying now?
Dlamini, on the name of
No,
Dlamini.
no.
Mr.
Okay.
Macpherson, Chair.
Honorable Macpherson.
Support.
Mr.
Support.
Mulder,
In support.
Honorable Mulder.
In support, Chair.
Okay.
Mr. Cuthbert,
Honorable Cuthbert.
I support Mr. Dlamini.
Mr.
Okay.
Burns-Ncamashe, Chair.
Ncamashe.
I do not support.
Okay.
Chair,
All right.
then yourself, Chair.
I don't support.
Chair, based on the voting, Chair, it is clear, only 4 members are in support of Mr. Dlamini as the third candidate, and 7 members are against. So clear from the voting that the third member to be shortlisted, to be recommended, is Dr. Mazivandila, Chair.
Okay. So
Chair?
yes, Andre.
If we can proceed with adopting, based on the conclusion of that process, we have 3 names, Chair. Mr. Terry Salani, Dr. N. Tiana, and Dr. M. Mazivandila, Chair. May I put up the report that we will table for the House consideration, Chair? Mr. Mbuyani's raised his hand, Chair.
Okay, Mbuyane.
Chairperson, thank you very much for the opportunity. I'd like to propose that we officially consider and adopt the three names that have been proposed by the committee to forward to the Minister for consideration. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Yeah, the Secretariat were working towards
before we proceed with, Chair, may I just, before we proceed with formally adopting, that we've put the report up there with the names of these candidates, and then we can ask members to move for adoption of the report. If we can proceed in that way, Chair?
Yeah.
Chair,
Yes,
this is the report that will be tabled to the House for consideration, Chair. It's just taking the members through the committee through the process of when we started the process, Chair. So I'm not going to read every word for word, but I think it formed part of an interim report, Chair, and I will probably want to focus on the last few points, point number 9, from point number 9 onwards. Due to change in the parliamentary program, we will forward this report to members. The committee met on the 24th of February to shortlist candidates to be interviewed. It was Mr. Reverend Chikani, Mr. Dlamini, Ms. Ferguson, Dr. Matsivandila, Dr. Patiana, Mr. Trikamji, and Mr. Selatni, and Mr. Khaba. On the 9th of March, the 8 shortlisted candidates were interviewed. On the 10th of March, the committee deliberated and resolved that the names of the following 4 candidates be submitted to the respective party caucuses for discussion: Mr. Dlamini, Dr. Matsivandila, Dr. N. Patiana, Mr. T. Selani. In terms of Section 3.3 of the Lotteries Act, the members contemplated in Section 3.1a of the Act shall be appointed only after the Minister has been noticed in the Government Gazette and in no less than 2 newspapers circulating in every province, invited interested parties to nominate persons suitable for appointment as chairperson, and the relevant committee of the National Assembly, which is the Portfolio Committee on Trade and Industry in this case, has made recommendations to the Minister in relation thereto after transparent and open process of considering persons so nominated, having due regard to the functions of the board. In light of the above, the committee recommends that the House request the Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, and we'll make the correction, Chair, to consider the following candidates for position of chairperson of the board of the Lotteries Commission: Mr. T. Selani, Ms. Dr. N. Patiana, and Dr. M. Matsivandila. Report to be considered. Now we can have Mr. Mbuyane, if you wish to move, Chair.
Okay, Honorable Mbuyane.
Chairperson, thanks. Thank you very much, Chairperson. As I earlier indicated, Chairperson, that I propose that we formally recommend these 3 names to the Minister for recommendation, Chairperson, for consideration. Thank you.
You moving for their adoption. Okay.
Chair, Mrs. Hermans, Chair.
Honorable Hermans.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I hereby second the adoption of the report as tabled. Thank you.
Let's hear if ever there's any objection.
Can Mr. Macpherson?
Macpherson, Honorable Macpherson.
Chair, please note that the DO objects to the report and opposes.
Okay. Can we check if
Chair, if you could note the abstention of the ACDP.
ACDP abstention.
And there's another hand, Chair. I don't know if it doesn't look like there's another hand.
There's no other hand?
No other hand. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Can we then say the report then is agreed to? Are there any further issues which we'll have to consider at this stage, Secretariat?
No, Chair. What will happen? The report has been agreed to by the committee. The report will be at ATC this evening, Chair, and submitted to the House for consideration, Chair.
Thank you very much. Can I just say then, it does actually bring us to the conclusion of the issue before us, because we're today supposed to formalize the consideration of the recommendations by the committee for the NLC chairperson to the minister. So I think those are the 3 candidates which we actually have as the committee recommended to the minister. And I'm sure that actually covers most of the issues that we're supposed to look at, unless there's any other issue we need to pick up on, Secretariat.
There's no issue to pick on regarding this process. This process has concluded in the committee, Chair. Like I indicated, we will submit of your signature, submit the report to the ATC this evening, Chair. We have, I don't know if Mr. Mbuyane and Mr. Macpherson raised their hands subsequent to this process, Chair.
Macpherson?
No.
Did you raise your hand?
No, but they took their hands off. It was old hand. It was
I see.
This occasion, Chair. Just in terms of the program for next week, we are meeting next week on the 16th of March. We'll get a briefing on the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, Chair. And we'll consider the first draft of our report, Chair, of the third quarter report.
Okay. And obviously there may be minutes that we may have to circulate.
Correct. You are correct.
Yeah, so that we can be able to look at that. Now, honorable members, I think next meeting is Tuesday, 16th March. And I'm sure with the items that the Secretariat has just highlighted, thank you very much for your participation. I'm sure we can actually conclude our meeting, and we can say our meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Long live Chairperson. Long live Chairperson.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Comrade Mbuyane.
Long live the Chair.
Yes, leadership.
Can you please send through that document to us?
Can you forward your number?
Thank you.
I will now, Chief.
Okay.
Sure.
Chair, if you can just remain on the platform, Chair.
Okay, no, I'll stay.
Yeah, we just want to make sure everybody's off the platform just to discuss some procedure, other matters.
Okay, because I'm in the office now.
Yes. Now I just want to. It will be quick, Chair. I just want to remove other people quickly, Chair.
Okay. Let's see.